Welcome, YouTubers, to another episode in my Grammar Hero series. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing two somewhat controversial topics. Notably, one, you should not study for the Asvab, and two, you should definitely not pay for group tutoring or Asvab test prep boot camps. As always, I like to break down my videos by section, and as you can see, there are going to be 6 sections to this video. First and foremost, I'm going to discuss why you should not study for the ASVAB or PiCAT until. After that, this video is going to be centered around the idea that you should not pay for tutoring. And as you can see, sections 2 through 6 address that topic. First, I'm going to mention that you can get a perfect score and still be rejected from military service. Of course, you can get rejected at MEPS if they discover that you have a certain medical condition, and during your background check, they may uncover information that would prevent you from joining. After that, I'm going to discuss how ASVAB tutors are incentivized to sell you everything they have. And when someone's incentivized to sell you something, they're not always going to be honest with you about what it takes to pass this test. Uh, on a related note, I'm also going to mention that you could be paying for something that is already freely available. And in fact, you could be paying for something that was blatantly copied or closely replicated from a free source. Next to last, I'm going to mention that group tutoring really doesn't work. In fact, if you're someone who needs tutoring to pass the ASVAB, then you're going to have to find a tutor who can develop an individualized learning plan for you. That is to say, rather than teaching a group of 5 or 10 people, they should sit down with you one on one, assess your strengths and weaknesses, and come up with a plan that's going to help you improve. And then finally, I'm going to mention how you can study for and pass the ASVAB. Specifically, I'm going to go over some free and inexpensive resources you can use to do that. Again, in my opinion, the free and inexpensive resources out there are far and away better than anything you can currently buy. Okay, so all that being said, let's go ahead and get started with today's video. As you may recall, the first topic in today's video is that you should not study for the ASVAB. And before we watch this short clip from Team Swartz's YouTube channel, I want to read this comment. Again, I get thousands of comments per year, and this one says, "Thank you for the help. I went from a 24 to a 51, and I scored high enough to pick the MOS I wanted. Unfortunately, I've been disqualified for the waivers for my eyes and back, so I can't join the military." All right, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and see what Team Sports has to say about not studying for the ASVAB.
Based on my 17 plus years of recruiting, if you score over a 20% on the practice test and you did not study before taking that practice test, you will have a good opportunity, if you put forth real effort to study, to at least a passing score of a 31% or better. The issue or the frustration that recruiters have with potential applicants is that some applicants want to study before meeting their recruiter and taking a practice test. If you score anything less than a 31% on the practice test and you put forth real effort in studying, like you went ham on the studying, your recruiter is not going to have much faith in you and going to put you at the bottom of the list of priority. Because
All right, so there you have it. That was Sergeant First Class Swartz's perspective on why you shouldn't study for the ASVAB. In case you haven't checked out his channel already, I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. In addition, I'll mention that you can find his channel by typing this into your browser, youtube.com/c/Team Swartz. Again, in short, he mentioned that you should only start studying for the ASVAB or PiCAT after you've contacted a recruiter and taken the short practice test in his or her office. Again, if you score a 20 or better on that short practice test, which more than 80% of you are going to be able to do, your odds of passing the real ASVAB or PiCAT are very high. All right, and that leads me to my second topic in today's video. All right, so the second topic in today's video is the fact that you can get a passing or even a perfect score and still get rejected from military service. Again, as you saw in this comment, this person went from a 24 to 51, but they were disqualified because they had issues with their eyes and back. And if you want to read up on some things that can be barriers to enlisting in the military, I'm going to put these two links in the description of my video. The first one's called Barriers to Military Enlistment. This one talks about issues that may come up during your background check. And the second one, medical conditions that can keep you from joining the military, of course, discusses some things medically that can prevent you from joining the military. I will say this, while military.com is a great resource for information about joining the military, it's not always 100% accurate. So if you read one of these articles and you think that some of these things may disqualify you, the best person to contact is your recruiter. They will tell you exactly what will disqualify you and what you can possibly get a waiver for. So don't rely specifically on military.com. It's just to give you a general idea as to what can disqualify you. Your recruiter is the be all and end all for this information. All right, so that's the second topic in this video. So before you sign up for tutoring, here's a question you may want to ask that tutor. Will they give you a refund if you have an issue with your background check or you're disqualified from joining the military because of medical reasons? I'm almost certain they'll say they won't. So again, that's another reason as to why you shouldn't pay a lot for tutoring. All right, so the third section in this video is in regard to the fact that expensive tutors have an incentive to sell you stuff. And let's take a look at this. I actually took this screenshot from a website that charges $60 for Asvab Word Knowledge Bootcamp that contains 500 words. Here's my expert opinion on that. You're going to have to learn significantly more than just 500 words to see any improvement on the word knowledge section of the Asvab or PiCAT. Beyond that, you can also learn 2,400 words for free at vocabtest.com. In fact, this is what vocabtest.com looks like. As it happens, the ASVAB more or less is a test of what you should have learned from 6th grade to your senior year of high school. If you work your way through grade 6 to AP Senior on this free website, you'll have learned 2,400 words. And again, do the math on that. $60 for 500 words, that's 12 cents per word, by the way, that you're paying, versus $0 for 2,400 words. And you might be saying to yourself, well, Grammar Hero, I've been told that I need to learn prefixes and suffixes for the ASVAB. While that's helpful, that's also available on vocabtest.com. So again, there's no point in spending $60 on a boot camp when you can get more than that for free. So as you can see, number 4 says, you may spend hundreds of dollars on content that is freely available already. In fact, you may even pay for content that has been directly copied from someone else. And ask yourself this, is someone really an expert instructor, or if they're replicating someone else's free content? Of course, the answer to that is no. And let me give you 2 examples of this. In June, I received an email from Debrata Das of asvabtutoring.com. And as you can see, he basically asked me to partner up with him. Now, let me just say this. I didn't respond to this email initially because I had a suspicion as to what was going to happen. Specifically, I knew that they had reviewed my content and that they may consider replicating it in the event I turn them down. Of course, I turned them down. And let's take a look at this. About a year ago, I published my first copy of my reference sheet. And as a matter of fact, it's something that you can still download for free today on my website, asvabapp.com. But that said, let's think about what happened here. Debrata Das asked me to partner up with him. I basically said no. And then a few weeks ago, they come out with a reference sheet that's very similar to my free one. Okay. So, again, if you pay for tutoring, there's a very strong likelihood that you're getting something that's been replicated from someone else. I recently posted this email publicly on my YouTube channel just to see what my community thought about this. And here's one of the responses I got. I paid $700 for nothing to them. Guys, I'm going to be very honest with you. That is bullshit. And I would never partner with a company that charges hundreds of pounds, hundreds of dollars. So I'll leave it at that. All right, so before I discuss this next thing, I just want to share a quote. It says, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. And that's by Oscar Wilde. So here's a screenshot of a group tutoring schedule from an expensive Asvab tutor. And not surprisingly, almost all the topics from this schedule have been on my channel for months, if not years. Again, why are you going to pay for something that's already freely available elsewhere? All right, so let's go ahead and move on. All right, so number 5 is in regard to the idea that group tutoring generally does not work, in my opinion. That is to say, if you really need tutoring for the Asvab or PiCAT, you should find a tutor who's going to create an individualized education program for you. That is to say, they're going to do one-on-one tutoring with you. First, they'll probably attempt to assess your strengths and weaknesses, and after that, they're going to come up with a program that's going to improve significantly on your weaknesses. All right, so on a related note, I also want to mention this. Both Facebook as well as YouTube are highly manipulated. That is to say, you're never going to see negative feedback about any of these expensive ASVAB tutors. Those comments can be hidden and deleted almost immediately. But you know what? In response to my post about these expensive ASVAB tutors, here's some feedback that I've gotten. I went from a 24 to 72. Uh, if anyone plans on getting a tutor, seriously don't. It's a scam and a waste of money. Everything a tutor will show you, Grammar Hero already has. For the most part, that's true. This person said, I paid for tutoring with Anderson. I felt so hurt, I have to retest. Should have just watched your free videos. All right, I agree with that as well. This person wrote, back in your comments section again, he and I had a little bit of a debate about something in our comments. And he said, I took the ASVAB today and scored a 94 just by watching your videos. A friend of mine paid $160 for much less of what you offer. All right, so again, someone's paying $160 for less than what's on my channel. And here's another comment. It says, no, they ripped me off. On top of that, they lose patience with you if you're not good at math. They also talk shit to you if they see you asking for help. Debrata Das, I'm assuming that is, told me that he would get me another tutor, but never did. I do not recommend them at all. All right, so this is the stuff you're never going to see on Facebook or YouTube because, again, those platforms are highly manipulated. These comments can be removed pretty quickly. All right, so number 6 says how to study for the ASVAB the right way. As I mentioned in this video already, the first thing you want to do is contact a recruiter, and more often than not, they're going to give you that short practice test in his or her office. Again, if you score above a 20, your odds of passing the actual PiCAT or ASVAB are good. Apart from that, you may want to consider buying a study guide from Amazon.com or checking one out from your local library for free. Again, I can't stress this enough. Do not spend more than $25 to $100 on test prep. You've seen the comments from people who said they spent hundreds of dollars and still couldn't pass the test. Apart from that, I have a lot of free resources on my website, and those are all right here. I have a free reference sheet that's 18 pages long. You can download a copy of that by going to asvabapp.com/reference.pdf. And I'll put links to all my resources in the description of this video. In addition to having a reference sheet, I also have a checklist that contains all the math topics you need to know for the test. And you can use my channel to learn about those topics, or you can use the Khan Academy or the Organic Chemistry Tutor. Finally, I do have about 10 practice tests on my website. That said, if you already have a copy of the Kaplan Asvab test prep book or the Asvab for Dummies book, you should just take those practice tests. And again, as I mentioned already, you can go to vocabtest.com and learn 2,400 vocabulary words for free. Now, I realize that not everyone has access to a laptop or a desktop computer. So, if the only thing you have is a cell phone, you can download a copy of the US Army's ASVAB Challenge app. It's completely free and it's made by the US Army. Get this on your phone and study it. It will help you tremendously. All right, so that is it for this video. As always, I hope you found it helpful. And as usual, you're more than welcome to leave feedback in the comment section below. I think this video is interesting because you get the perspective from someone who's actually a recruiter, and you get my perspective. And I've been making these videos for about 2 years now. So again, uh, I don't recommend that you spend more than $100 on test prep for the ASVAB. In this video, I've discussed all those free resources you can use to ultimately pass the test. So if you want to help my channel out, please consider subscribing to it. In addition, I strongly encourage you to check out Team Schwartz's YouTube channel. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose, my ASVAB party people.
こんにちは。